hurtling down the slopes, 100 miles an hour. All right. Now, how many of you are at this point? Anybody? Got the green OBU thing? Maybe ahead of me? Okay. Now, once you've logged into the machine, okay, the next thing we got to have you do is log into the VMware, which is the SOP, which is the cloud-based client they've got that has the Office Productivity Suite for the lab. Now, it's extremely convenient because this is the only place you can use it. Isn't that nice? Can't log into it out remote. So, you'll see a little green thing there called VMware. Got it? And you're going to click on that, and you'll open it. And you'll see here I've got to the login, and that's going to be the same one for my machine, which is OBU all caps, and then exclamation point. Now, when you reach this stage, you got the VMware Horizon client. You want to right-click it and click Launch. Now, you may get a dialog box that pops up about the printer. Just exit off. Don't worry about it. I'm just going to give you this welcome thing. Hang on a minute. Oh, my goodness gracious. Well. You're up here. You got your lab coat on and everything. Yeah. Yeah, the lab. I'm in the lab. Not in clothes. Just the lab. It's good to see you. All right. And Miss Turner is still asking for clothes. I'm just asking for the lab coat. That's all I want. She's misunderstanding. All right. So we're repairing windows. Lucky us. Lucky windows. In the past, our security measure was it doesn't work. So if it doesn't work, you can't hack it. Now it's a marathon. You may die in age, or Jesus may arrive before we get here. I'm here. I'm in Nirvana. I'm in heaven. Sit. Ooh, see the window? It's like a church window, isn't it? I look inspirational. Y'all seem skeptical. Okay. Well, there's nothing that a Bible and a bottle of Jack Daniels wouldn't do to cure your attitudes, all of you, and I'm praying for you. I wouldn't use the Bible. I wouldn't use the bottle to let you drink. Now, here's the printer thing. Say bye-bye. Now, if you're at this stage, you are at Nirvana, as I mentioned. See, heaven's windows. And you are now ready to find access. Now, conveniently, they put a shortcut to everything on the desktop except, well, you guessed it, for access. And if you click on that little bottom arrow down there, you're going to see access. And you want to open that jewel up, and away you go. Because we're going to be working with access. Okay? Not to be confused with Axe the body wash, which some of you often overuse. Try some soap. No, I'm not being critical. My day, it was cologne. And, you know, hey, you didn't have time to shower, throw on a little cologne, and away you go. Of course, if you're smoking cigarettes like I did in my 20s, it doesn't matter whether you take a bath or not. And if you're dating girls to smoke, who cares? Yes? Question? Oh, what do you got in that? Let me see. That's disappointment. All right.
What's in the there?
It's nothing but water. All righty. Let's click this blank database, open this jewel up. Okay? Now, if you're looking over on the screen with me right now, you should have you have your access up, and I've got this in here. So those of you who probably can't, well, those of you in here can see it. those of you out there, you're banished from my kingdom. All right. Now, I want to show you something. Here's a surprise. We have a textbook we're going to use to do a series of exercises working with structured query language, SQL. That's the book, SQL Fundamentals, 3rd edition by Mr. John J. Patrick. And what it does is it's going to walk you through the process of learning SQL step by step by step till at the end of the course, you'll be very conversant with it. Now, SQL is a procedural language. It's definitional. It says to the database, here's what I want. It's not like learning a full-blown computer language. However, this is good for you because it's good for your mind. Okay? Because every time you work with this stuff, you develop that logical thinking habit and it builds your mind. And it's better that you build a neural path in your brain, learn about this, okay, than doing other crazy stuff you could be doing. All right? So, you'll be working with the John Patrick text, and then in Excel, you're going to be working on there. Now, I'm going to close that off and open up the Excel in my machine so you can see. Now, here's the textbook, and you'll want to bring it with you each time, just like you have a Bible or a hymnal. Got the book? You can rent it, or you can carry it. OBU is an open carry campus. You can carry your books out in the open, and you don't have to be feared of ridicule or anybody laughing at you. You can carry that book with pride. Now, I realize that some of you may have been in some places where if you carried your books to school, you were persecuted, maybe even beaten up, or they took your money for lunch. I don't know. Maybe you're there.
Was it like that for you?
First time they asked for my lunch money, I put the gentleman in his locker.
What happened the second time?
The second time, there was never a second time. They thought, he's crazy. Yeah, it's just a hair. But I was a freshman. I was about this size when I was 12 years old, about 30 pounds lighter. And so they sent me up to play high school football. And, you know, they're all shaving and stuff and talking dirty, and I'm just, I'm got wisps of hair, and I'm still loving the Lord. And they decided to pick on me. Well, the first, guy in school picked on me, and that was the last guy that picked on me. I got a little trouble. Hurt him. He stuffed somebody in the locker. It kind of injures him. But, hey, he's the one that ensued the fracas. Nonetheless, if he'd asked me for a pack of cigarettes, I'd given him the money, but he wanted lunch. That was offended my sensibilities. All right, so this is the book you're going to need. Okay? It's about the size of the 3 stones that David used to kill Goliath. That's how I know. I weighed it. That's how I integrate faith with knowledge. Okay. So what we're going to do in that book is we're going to work with a series of SQL statements, and you should have the book with you each week as we work through them. Now, go back over in here and you say, okay, how am I going to get this all set up? Well, the first thing I'm going to do with this is I'm going to get my Joule running as far as access. So I'm back to my screen, and I'm going to create a database. Okay? So far, so good? Now, we're going to work on, as we work through, we'll be turning them in. Yes. Okay? Now, each week, we're going to work through basically a chapter that will work progressively through learning SQL. Now, here's the deal. Structured query language is used in just about every database product that's out there, and your familiarity with it will be helpful to you when you when you communicate with the people who work in IT. That's the main thing, okay? And the other is it builds your brain power, plus you'll understand a whole lot more when you go out to use databases, which you use all the time, about how they work. The first great technology that hit and swept business was spreadsheets. I was telling everybody today in the first BISS class, I worked in mergers and acquisitions for a while, and we'd have to come up with 5 scenarios for our clients. I was with a team, we did cash flow analysis. That is, if they borrow the money to buy the other folks out, will they be able to pay it off with the new entity that's created? If the two of them merge, will they have enough cash flow to make it worth for everybody? Because always in these deals, somebody's the target and somebody's the pursuer. And so there's always somebody gets a payday. Well, make a long story short, that team of people, if it would take us about 3 months to develop 5 scenarios, okay? When I left and I quit working for them, we had Excel, and we could run Excel, and we could do 1,000 simulations for them of possible outcomes given different conditions that we assume that might happen, all the way from the very, 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 very best to the very worst. So that spreadsheet technology changed our ability to try to plan for the future and to handle and analyze data. Databases now, of which Access is the mother of all of them, enable us to store and then extract data in a speed and an amount of velocity and a volume of which we've never even dreamed. So just understanding a database, having this course will put you way ahead of your cohorts. Now, the Holy Grail is where when we come to that point where we have the best elements of a database and the best elements of a spreadsheet, and folks are out there working on those products, and you'll get a chance to work with some of them, like Oracle, SAP, SAS, etc. Okay, now let's just take a quick trip around here, and you're going to notice that you've got a tab and tree environment just like you do with any other of the Office productivity suites. And you got a home, and you've got create, and you can get external data. You can import them into a database. You've got some database tools. Okay, you've got fields. And when I went through Access Workshops 1, 2, 3, and 4, especially 1 where we went through the Northwind traders, I showed you how that data warehouse concept works and how it's set up, okay? Now we're going to pop a little bit under the hood and work with some of these. So I'm going to diminish this down for just a second, and I'm going to go back up here, and I'm going to go to the Files section in the web in Canvas. With me so far? Are you excited? Are you pumped? If you are, please see me. I want to send you over to Student Services. But it will be exciting one of these days when you're at work and your boss says, hey, we need to develop a database about and we'll look around the room and you'll be the only one who'll go, man, I think I can do that. All righty, we're going to go down here and we're going to find the Patrick materials. And it's going to be a zip file. And you see the Patrick material zip file, see it? Let's click on that jewel. And then we're going to download it. Now, if you're like me and I work in Chrome, I like to show it in the folder. And then I'm going to stick it on my desktop. Okay? It's there on L desktop. And then I'm going to open it up. Okay? And you're going to see, first of all, a database that says SQL Funds 2007. You see that one? Got that one? That's the one we're going to work in. You remember we talked some about, and I'm going to close off this blank database. We talked about the idea of a data warehouse. Okay? Now you were probably, as I had the video, had the video on, you probably some songs like, you know, Let's Kill Grandpa and stuff like that. Okay? I want to be on KOCO, so I want to be in a high-speed chase. All right, I got it. Now, you're going to run through a pile of this stuff, and I'm going to call it SQL Fun, and I'm going to put it over here on my desktop, and I'm going to call it LD1. I'm going to save it on my desktop as SQL Fun LD1. Got it? I want to show you what we're looking at here. This is the first part of that zip file. All right, and I'll enable the content. Now notice on the left-hand side, you see the shutter. And let me grab that handy annotator and we'll draw on this jewel. Here's the shutter, okay? Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my cursor and I'm gonna move it out just a little bit. And what we have here is a data warehouse. And we're gonna run queries and more complex as we go along to get data out of this warehouse. Data warehouse, nothing more than a set of tables, okay? And if you watch the videos and where you were here in class, you heard me talk about fact tables, or okay, which is nothing but a list of records of things that happen, typically transactions. Then I have what I call these dimension tables that describe, say, like the type of marketing channels we use. Well, here we've got that same kind of mixture, and we're going to be pulling data out of these tables. Okay? Does that make sense so far? So this is just like a warehouse. We talk about a data warehouse, it's a simple concept. It's a place I store stuff, and then I'm get ready to search and pull stuff out of the warehouse. Got me covered? Okay? Now, as we move along through this, you're going to hear me talk a lot about what we call query discipline. You say, what are you talking about? Query discipline means I don't just go run queries because I can do it. I have a discipline, I have an approach about what I'm after. And everything I pull should be enabling me to extract data that I can compute and then present visually. Because once I've done that, I have a dashboard. Follow? Right now, you understand 90% more about this technology and what it can do for us than 90% of the people out there working. That's how far ahead you'll be when you go out there. I don't know how many times I've had some email me and go, I was applying for the job. They asked me if I had any database experience. I said, yes, I've worked with Oracle, SAS, SAP, Access, and the employer said, I have a live one. Everybody coming out of business school, they can do spreadsheets. Those are fine. But understanding a database technology is absolutely, absolutely important. And I want to show you just some practical examples of this for a minute before we take any more of a deep dive. And let's go back over into the modules section here for a minute, okay? I'm going to go down to the modules for this week, module for this week. And each week I'm going to try to, will try to provide you, okay, with some practical examples of how this technology can really enhance my business, or even how it can become a model for running a business. Okay? Give you a real quick example. Back in the early 1990s, Ted Turner, and maybe you've heard Ted Turner, right? Really? Wow, Ted Turner, look him up, cool guy. On the Atlanta Braves for a while, started the TBS Superstation. At one point, TBS, anybody know who TBS is? They're on cable. The one time there were nothing but a VHF stations all over the country because people, wanted to watch TV at night. And so Ted Turner said, okay, I'll get the Superstation, TBS. And so he had all these old VH stations. And then eventually he got into regular stations that folks could, and he created a network. To make a long story short, in the early 90s, a lot of the old movie companies were falling apart. They had a shift in their business model. In the 20s, 30s, and then into the 40s, the 50s, and the 60s, and movie companies were like a production operation. They manufactured stars, they manufactured movies, And if you visited a lot, it was like going to a factory. It was called the Dream Factory, in fact. And if you decided to go Hollywood and be a star, if they liked how you looked and you looked good on the camera, here's what they do. They change your name, write a new bio. They teach you how to ride a horse. They teach etiquette. They teach you how to dress. They change your name. They created you. And then the public would see this image of you and they'd enjoy their movies. Well, Ted Turner knew that all these old, like MGM, Paramount, etc., they were folding and they were selling off their catalogs, their movies. And he bought them for cents on the dollar. And then he started a thing called Turner Classic Movies. Ever heard of that? One of the most profitable cable enterprises ever to exist. He bought the movies basically for nothing. But he knew that they had a tremendous following because people would watch those movies at night because they grew up with them. And so he created that company. Well, the whole idea was that company was like a database. It was all predicated on, I've got these movies, I'm going to put them on cable, and then here came the internet, and they created a website where people could search for the movies, watch the movies on demand, stream them, etc. They added live events and all this stuff. But he understood that movie was an entity that had almost an endless cash flow stream attached to it. And so the cable companies now all pay, and he sold the company, but pay TCM to show movies on their channel. eBay is another example of this. It's really a database. All it does is augment transactions between sellers and buyers. You go to eBay, you want to sell something, you see it. You use the database. You got a database at Amazon, etc. Well, we talked about that, all well and good. So now we're going to take a look at this, and we have these various tables in here, like the alphabet table. We have a dual table. This is a specialized table. It has letters of the alphabet. Here's another specialized table. It has dummy columns that we can add to. Then we'll have some dimension tables, like these constants, the name of the business, the date they started, their budget, and we're going to be looking at some records of business lunches. Okay? Now, as we move through this, we're going to be running some code. We're going to run some queries. Now, if you take your cursor and you're over here in the shutter and you scroll all the way down, we may find some queries. Every database has 4 things, okay? It has a table or tables. It has queries, which is a way that we extract data from the tables, just like we harvest stuff out in the fields. And it has a report function, which lets us present what we got. And then it will also have a thing called a form, where it's easy, where a device that's used to input data. When you go over to Amazon, for example, and you start ordering stuff, once you start to order things, you're creating a form, and you're inputting the data for Amazon. And so you're putting in your name and all this stuff, and your banking, and what you bought, and all this, and then that goes over to a table of transactions. Okay. Now, we're going to be running some queries, and then we'll build on these progressively. Now, here's what I'm going to do. Each night, I'm going to keep you for about an hour and 15 minutes to about an hour and 30 minutes. And then I'll have a second post. So this is the ground-based portion, okay, of the class. And then I'll have a second post, which is your virtual part of the class. That was the bargain I had to make with the administration to be able to do this format. Now, obviously, if you couldn't be here tonight, you were out working, or you were traveling to a track meet or something like that. This is available for you to see because I'm recording this anyway. Okay, but what I'm saying is, please, 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 don't abuse this, or I won't be able to use this format at all. And you may suffer from that because you may have other courses to take in which I could have used this format, but then I couldn't because, well, I got the word of you're not having enough people show up for the actual class. There are people still here who believe, and I'm not going to argue with them, that the only way you can learn is if you're in this building at a certain time and a certain day and you're listening to their voice right then and there. Now, it's true that when you leave tonight, your face will be aglow, much as if Moses was when he left the mountain. You don't believe me, do you? Thank you very much. I have one person going to heaven. I know that for sure. He's not drinking hooch. That's good. And he believes in his professor. So that's 2/3 of the way. Anywho, all that said and done, we're going to work with these tables and run queries, and each week it will get progressively a little more complex, maybe a little more challenging. Okay? Now let's close these off for just a second. And I want you to diminish your screen, your database down for a second. And I want to go back to that zip file. And you're going to see another file in there that says access code for specific chapters. Do you see that? Okay. Click on, open that up. And you'll see the code for chapters 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Got it? Now, that code, let's take it out and put it out there for a second. It's nothing more than a text file. And the author will identify for you, okay? He's going to identify the code that is designed for MS Access and PC Windows versus code that's designed for Oracle. Each are a little bit different. But what we're going to do is each week we'll have some queries to run, and we'll take the code, we'll slap it into the SQL area, and we'll look at the result sets, we'll look at the design view, and as we go through this, it's going to make a lot more sense to you, and as you see, we'll build this. At the end of the course, I'll have some assignments for you. I'll ask you to develop some code, and what you're going to find out is it's not that big of a deal. Okay? Now, they've got this very first one, and let's look at this 1-12. See it? And it says select asterisk from employees, the 1_ employees table. The asterisk is a wild card meaning get everything. So all that's saying is select everything that's in that table. That's all it's saying. 90% of all SQL, 90% of all queries are extracting data. The other 10% involve making tables, updating tables, appending stuff to tables, and that type of thing. But let's do this. Let's highlight that text, okay? And you'll notice at the end of the statement, there is a semicolon. So we're going to highlight that text. We'll copy it. You with me so far? Yeah. Okay. And we're going to go back into our friendly little Excel access file, and I'm going to click Create. Okay. See the Create tab? Now, you're going to create you're going to click on Query Design. All right, and you're going to close that off. Now, if you've had a class with me like 1123, Business Problem Analysis, we used the design view, but below it is the code view. So click Close, and then you'll see the SQL view. See that up in the far left corner? Everybody? So let's do it again. Click Create, tab, and then come over and you'll see it says Query Design. See the Query Design? Click that. And then you're going to see a thing pops up that says show table. Close it off. Just click close. And then if you look in the left top hand side, you're going to see a thing that says SQL view. Got it? Click on there. Now, paste the code in there. Now get that first select, exit out, and put the code in. Got it? With me so far? Now, you see the little red thing over there? Okay? When you press that, the query will run. And as you do it, you should say, run, Forrest, run. How many of you know what movie that's from? Forrest Gump. You see, when Forrest and Bubba were talking, and Bubba said, you know, shrimp, fried shrimp, boiled shrimp, he was telling, he was sending us a message. All of this, America, get in tune with databases. Because he named out about a dozen different ways to enjoy shrimp. How many of you have ever watched that movie and written down each way to enjoy shrimp and then gone out and had shrimp that style? You want a new experience, do it. And you'll have all kinds, you can have shrimp many, many ways. Well, now we're ready, and we'll click run. And there we are. You've written your first query. Right now, you know more about databases than 95% of the people who will work with you, for you, or for whom you will work. You've written a query. You said select, and then you used a wildcard, that's the asterisk, from that employee's table. Okay? So we went down to the SQL view and we put in the code. So I have three views when I run a query. I have the result set, which is what I'm looking at here. Got it? Okay. Now, who knows? Some of you may find a reason, maybe at some point you'll use Access to catalog your gun stash. I really don't know. We've got open carry now. I imagine by the time you have grandkids, there will be a mandatory open carry. Every Oklahoma citizen shall carry a lethal weapon on their side. If you've ever seen what one of those things do to people, you have a whole different perspective, but that's okay. You've probably heard this story. My wife and I, first time we went out to Arizona, this is an open carry state. We went into a convenience store and there was a gentleman who literally had 2 pearl-handled 6 guns strapped to his legs as if he was getting ready to go to the OK Corral. And it scared my wife to death. She said, there's a guy there going to rob him. I said, no. Folk can carry their weapons. Now, I was hoping that the fool had the safeties on so that he didn't accidentally budge something and set off his weapon maybe around a gas tank or his car or me. Anyway, we've done our first query. Now we're covering tonight, as we're in the textbook, and you'll want to get your textbook, you should have it. We're covering basically pages 1 through 30, that first chapter, where we talk about what a table is. Now, let's look at this for just a minute and talk about it. Here I have a table, I have a result set, I've run a query, and this is also called a view or called a result set or called a data set. This is what I've produced by running my query. Got me? If you look at that, each of those is a record. And a record is a combination of fields. Got it? Now, if I'm the FBI or NSA or CIA or something like that, I might add something like international phone origin number. I might add something like country of origin. I might add time of day call made. Why? Well, you know, if somebody lives in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and they're calling Yemen in the middle of the night and on the phone for 3 or 4 hours, and then they go over to Facebook and they write death to America, that may mean something. Should we check it out? What do you think? Well, the privacy part of me says, no, this is the United States. We don't dig in people's affairs. But if they set off a dirty bomb in Tulsa, I'll be the person going, why didn't they know that person was there? It's the part of freedom. It's a great dilemma. Okay. So we've got this here query we've run. Now we can look at 2 views. Here's the data set. And then right click on the tab and go to the design view. And you'll see there that we've got those employees, and we've basically, because we ran the query, there's nothing in here. But if I go down now to the design view, pardon me, down the SQL, there's my query. Okay? I could have just as easily used the design view, okay, to run my query. Or I could have written the code. But it's just, as we work through this, you'll see there's going to be some times we can use the design view. There's going to be some times when you run the code, it will just decide, it will just determine what we're after. So far, so good? So each week, we're going to work with the SQL fun, which is our data warehouse. And then each week, I'm going to go to the text file for the chapter that's applicable to that week. I'm going to, and I'll go through it with you, and we're going to run the queries. Does that make sense? At the same time, I'll try to provide you some very practical examples of databases and why we use them. Okay? Now, how many of you have been following some of the coverage of Hurricane Dorian? Anybody? Okay. If you see the pictures, the pictures you see on TV do no justice. The hurricane literally took parts of the Bahamas and just scraped it clean. How are they going to know where stuff's at? Anybody have an idea? I mean, an idea. Let's talk about that. You have an idea? How are they going to find stuff? Where will they know where the gas lines are at? Okay, so we crank out the machine and we hit a gas line. That's a definite error. What? Any other way? How do I know where the phone lines were if they were buried? Okay, I have a map. Well, where will I get the map from?
The now underwater department system.
No, maybe there. That's one place. Anywhere else? Is there anybody that maps the world? Who? Did you say? Google Maps, yes. You see the little cars running around town with the camera? Google Maps. They have street view. They also have what? A satellite view. And so the people in the Bahamas had those layers of maps that show where stuff's at, infrastructure, where all the buildings were, the streets, the before pictures, so they can figure out where they're at. Because if you go in the middle and you're just on the ground and you don't have GPS coordinates or imaging or anything like that, you will not know where you are. I can tell you that for a fact. When the tornado in 13 hit Moore, and we went into the neighborhoods, and unbelievable. I didn't even know where I was. And I'd driven through those neighborhoods and by them, I don't know how many times. And I'm going, I don't know where I'm at, because there's nothing but rubble everywhere. So somebody said, got the phone, started getting the computers, pulled up, Google Maps, got the GPS locations, and here we are. So databases, of which a map is a database, are very useful things. Now, before I forget, you say, I'm pumped up. You're really pumped up about this. Yeah. Would you rather me be really very sedate? Now, here is how to run a query. And before I nod off, I'm pumped because databases are a tremendous tool for us, and we can use them. I wanted to note some things here for you. This is a resource that talks about IBM buying Truven, and they have what they call Watson Health. If you've ever heard of IBM Watson, their supercomputer, they're buying up all these medical companies so they can take all the records of those companies and feed them into Watson so they can start looking for protocols for drugs, for treatment, prevalence, who tends to get these diseases, who tends to get these accidents, geographic data, etc. So IBM's gobbling all that up. Why? So they'll be the #1 information source for healthcare. Then here's a resource about how Google makes its money using the AdWords. And then here is a link over to Esri, the GIS, Geographic Information Software, mapping software. We've seen a tremendous revolution in the use of these types of tools. You've probably heard the story before. I guess past several years I've been taking courses and attending webinars and conferences. I took a course with them on location analysis, and we were given a set of variables to create a retail location in Seattle, Washington. We were given about 25 criteria to meet. Now, my dad, before I got into his own businesses, was a retail location specialist. I got done in 45 minutes what it took him 3 months to do. So these tools, these GIS tools, are really changing the world. And if you use navigation in your car, or one of these days when you get in your car and it drives you somewhere, you're going to see how these things are really changing everything about how we live and what we're doing. Here's a living atlas of the world, the database. Here's a Med-Air Inc. Here's a database on live air traffic control. These are really exciting because they're interactive and they're live. Just like when you go check the scores at ESPN on college football or baseball or whatever you follow, okay? And if any of you follow soccer, please let me know. I'm going to report you to the FBI because you're not an American. I'm just kidding. It's just a joke. It's just a joke. It's just a joke. We play football, but everybody else plays soccer. Actually, they play football. What's the English? Oh, it's cricket. Anybody here follow cricket? Well, if you lived in Australia or India or any of the British Commonwealth, cricket is the deal. I was visiting Perth, which is the west coast of Australia, and this was during the world finals for cricket. Cricket's like baseball, except you just guy keeps batting, and it goes on for hours. And it's all that was on. And I thought, these people are really into cricket. It's all like baseball. Interesting sport. Are there any rugby players in here? Golfers? Any golfers? No golfers. Any backyard pickup game people? Play some basketball? Anybody plays old softball? Any softball players? I got one softball player. Anybody here steal cars for just fun? A few hands have shown up. Yeah, Fast and Furious, right here.
For a repo guy.
Yeah, for the repo guy. There you go. Oh, you did. You worked for. I bet you had some interesting experiences.
There was always a gun on that counter.
Yes, not a bad idea. People don't like to have to take their car taken away. Here's a flight view, a flight tracker. When you go to see what's going on with your flight, same story. So each week I'm going to have some practical examples of these tools. And if you want to learn to drive, we're going to kind of learn to drive this here database we're looking at. So here we are, and we've run this query. Now I'm going to call this, I'm going to save it, and it's going to ask me to name it, and I'm going to call it task 112. Okay? I'll say that, and that's the first query we run. Now, let's go back down to our text file, and we've got a second one. In fact, we have several. Now, these are all queries, every one of them. Can somebody tell me, okay, 114, we've done that. On this second one, what are we going to do here in this second query? What are we asking the machine to do? Talk to me, tell me. You know. Is that a Kansas City Royals fan? Okay. Oh. Kansas City, but not the Royals. You're not a Royals fan? Oh, okay. Okay. And you're a fan of the Chiefs, I take it? Okay. I'll pray for you. No, I'm kidding. I'm a Cardinals fan. I don't have any sense of superiority. Like you guys have won one world championship. We've won 11. But I'm also a Yankees fan. That's why I'm so obnoxious. I bet all of you are a Red Sox fan, aren't you? Any Red Sox fans? Are there any people, any of you watch baseball? Okay. It's good to have on if you're cooking beans or you just have it around the house and all. We watch baseball. Actually, we don't. We turn the game on and we listen. If I hear a crowd noise, I go back. What happened? I like this. Well, but that's baseball. Love baseball. Now, this second query, what are we doing? Now, I want you to know that I took an active interest in you and your life, your sports teams. Is there anything you want to tell us that's embarrassing? No? Okay, fair enough. You're off the hook. Anyone else? Something embarrassing you want to share? We're going to catalog. We're going to make a database of, how about a database of people you hate? You want to do that? No? Okay. I want to do that. Now, some of you are using databases and you are naughty because you don't want to tell me, but you're out there on them dating things, or you're getting ready to go out there and you're out there looking at the pictures. I can always find, I can sense who's doing it. You're out there looking. Listen, they're not going to show you anything except all the good stuff about them. So the second query, please tell me, what are we doing? What are we asking the machine to do? Come on, talk to me.
Give us code for the departments, like
Okay, we're going to get the departments. And what are we going to get from the departments? Are we updating anything? Does it say that? Are we deleting anything? What are we doing? We are SELECT. What is that? Selecting. So we're going to select. And what does that little asterisk there mean? Talk to me. Everything. So I'm getting everything from the departments table. So let's click Control-C. Okay. And I'm going to come over here and I'm going to click Create. And I was just teasing, so I hope I didn't offend you or hurt your feelings. You sure? No, I'm kidding. Maybe not, but you never know, do you? No, it's all right. Kansas City is a beautiful place. Love it. It really truly is. So click on Table Design. And, pardon me, not on the Table Design. Close that off. Click on Create Query Design. And then click Close. And then click SQL. And get rid of that little thing there. Boom. And we're going to run the query, and we're going to get everything from the departments table. So far, so good? You say, okay, Dr. Harmon, if I wanted just to get the department code, could I do that? Yes, I would just run a query that says just select department code, that one field, from that table. Or two or three of them, of those fields. But I asked him for everything this time. So we got it. So this one's going to be task, and I'm going to save this as task 1-3. 113. Okay? With me so far? And so this is pretty simple. Yes, it is. That's the sad part. What what really just makes me crazy is that somewhere, somehow, y'all got scared of numbers and got scared of technology. And this side of the whole student body. And if there wasn't, we'd have 6,000 math people clamoring to get in math and chemistry. Okay? Where's going, Whether you go into those kinds of fields or not, math's a beautiful thing. It truly is. And you love numbers. Are there any college football fans in here? Okay. Can anybody tell me how many points a week OU's giving up their average? I give it 31 one week, 14 the next, 45, 22.5. Has our new defensive scheme and coach helped? We were about 8 points below what we were in the average with two pretty mediocre opponents. So they'll see. The question is, will OU beat Texas 63-59 or 71-59? That'll be the question. College football fans, you follow any statistics? OU fans, any of you? OSU fans? Texas fans? Okay, we got a Texas fan. Bama? Any Bama fans? Clemson? Southern Cal? Michigan? Well, who are you people fans of if you're college football fans? Who do you follow? OU. Okay, well that's a given. But besides OU. Who? Okay, Texas A&M. Okay, anybody else? You sound like a SEC guy. Okay. All righty. So we've got the department code and the department names, and we ran the query. We've got a couple more queries here. And you'll see, now we're going to select everything from the lunches table. Okay, so I'm going to copy that. Not that big of a deal. And I'm going to click create. And I'm going to click query design. And then I'll close off the table view. And I'll go to the SQL, put that in, and I'm going to run everything from the lunches table. Did you get those? Yes? No? So we're just running some simple queries, select, and the asterisk says get everything. Okay? So we're going to call that task 114. All righty, there we go. Now, let's close all of these for just a second. I want to show you something. Now, we had all of these queries that we've run, and as you note, there are our tables, and then we're going to come down to the queries, and there they are. And we can treat them just like any file. I can copy them, I can rename them, I can delete them. I'm going to take a look at that one that's called the query. There's our queries. And notice they have a different type of icon. And I'm going to task 114, and I'm going to copy it. So highlight it and then right click and copy it. Got it? And then let's paste it. And it'll say copy of task 114, we're good. Huh? Just click on it, right click, click copy, and then just click paste, and it will paste it in the queries area, so don't worry about that. And then you should see it in the queries area. You got it? Now we've worked with that copy for a minute because I want to do something with it. Now let's open it up. And here we have this copy of task 114. We have everything from that lunches table. And I'm going to go down to the design view. Okay? Now, if I want to look for a particular date on this, I can come right down here, and on the field I can put the lunch date. Now I'm going to go back up here for a minute, and I've got 11/16/2011. So I'm going to go back down to the design view, and I'm going to get the lunch ID, and then I'm going to get the lunch date, okay? And then in the criteria, I'm going to put 11/16/2011. I think that's the date that they've got, and let's see what we get. And there it is. So every lunch that was done on the 16th, I've pulled it up. Follow me? Sure. I've got the copy. You made the copy and pasted the task 114, okay? I'm going down to the design view, and if you're following on the screen, you'll notice I've got a date, and I'm going to put it in properly as I should. I'm going to put in a hashtag 11-16-2011 hashtag. Now the hashtag says to access, hey, I'm pulling a date, not some strange number. I put it in without the hashtags, and it was nice of me. Now I'm ready to, you follow me? You see what you've got there? And I put that in the criteria. Now I run it, and it'll show me everything I did for that date. Yes? Okay, have you got the task 114 done? Okay, right click it. Okay, and then, okay. And then come down to the threes. Should be done. Should be copies. There you go. It's in alphabet order. Yes.
Is this an assignment that's due?
Yeah, we're doing it right now.
It's the number one.
Yeah, this is number one.
The LD thingy?
Huh?
The LD?
Yeah, that's what we're doing right now. We're looking with lunches database number one.
That's not the AW.
Huh? No. Those others were the access workshops. Those were due. Those are due at the end of the week, but I've already done those. And you should have uploaded those files.
This is the LD.
This is the lunches database stuff that we're working on. And now, let me clear that up for a moment, because let's take a look here. It's a good question. Now you say, okay, when will I upload the lunches database one? If you look at week 4, okay, take a look at week 4 in the modules, you're going to see LD1. So what we're working on tonight, you can upload ahead of time and you're good to go. Follow me? Okay, because this is the same process we went through when we were working with the access workshops 1, 2, 3, and 4. I said, now we've done it, upload it to where it should be uploaded. Okay.
So we're going to go through 2 and 3 as well?
Depending upon the time, if not, I'll post a video and go through it for everybody. Okay. And now, your question was a good one, because there's also, I also want to make sure that you understand. I'm going to stop at about 7:30, hold your applause, and then I'll do a part 2. In part 2, I'll blow through 2 and 3. But just to make sure that you understand, probably what I'm going to do, you see this thing says SQL Fund 2007 Harmon Lunches DB2. If all else fails, you can upload that for the credit. You got me? Huh? If you look there, you'll see there in the next module, which is 9/17, week 4. If you scroll down, you're going to see it says SQL Harmon Lunches. Okay. If all else fails, you can always upload that, because I'm just going to basically go through that or do the same exercises when I do the second video. And the same with with number 3. And if you scroll down there, you're going to see Harmon Lunches DB3. fact, typically what I do is I'll just simply go through those and say, here's where I got the data, I ran the query, etc. That make sense? Now, I also would say this, since it's there for you already, take a look at it in addition to just looking at the video. Okay? Because we'll get a little more complex as we go along. The Patrick files, that zip file has two things. One is that SQL fund, which we'll use a fresh one every week. That's our data warehouse. And it also has that little zip file with the files, the text files for each of the chapters. And those text files have the code that we're going to be cutting and pasting in. And we'll be talking about, well, okay, what are we doing here? Got me? Yes? Okay, so there's no reason not to lose there's no reason to lose the credit, but I want you to look at the video and I want you to look at the DB there, 2 and 3, because I'm going to cover LD2 and LD3, but I've got them there for you just in case you get confused, whatever, so you don't have to hit the panic button and go, I'm going to lose the credit. I've got it there so you can learn and understand it, okay? Now, what we've been doing so far, and I'll open up this text file, is we've just been basically doing these select queries, just using the wildcard, okay? Now, what I did just a minute ago is I ran a query, and I'll open this back up, where I said, okay, give me everything for the 16th of November, okay? And I'm going to leave this as a copy of task 1 and 4, but I want to show you something. You remember I used the design view? So right click on that and go down to the design view. Okay, and there's the date. So I got the lunch ID, and then I got the lunch date, and then I put in the date. Okay, and that's the result view. Now I'm going to open up the SQL view on this, and I'll let you see it. And I'm going to put it out here where you can see it a little bit better. All right, let me do this. And I'm going to click a new file. And I'm going to edit that, format the font, and I'm going to make the font about 18. Really see it well. Okay, everybody see that now, the text file? Now here's what's going on. The first line says, okay, I want to select from the lunches table, I want to get the lunch ID, comma, and notice the lunches.lunch ID. You see that looks suspiciously like a web address. Same principle. When we use a relational database, we're basically going in and we're pulling out a picture of the data in the table, and we're treating it like it's like the same thing that happens with the web page. Then comma, and then lunches.lunch date, okay? And then I've got that little asterisk there, which I don't need. So I'll get rid of that, Jewel, from the lunches table. Then I use a conditional statement where lunches.lunch date equals 11/16/2011. And notice I balance the parentheses, and then I put the semicolon, and I'm done. You follow me? And when I use the design view, I generated the code. Okay? With me so far? And then as we go through the course, it will become a little bit more complex as we go along. It won't be that big of a deal. Now, so I'm going to go back over here. And I'm not going to say that I don't need that. But I'm going to go back to my, and I'll back up to my set. Okay? And I've got my task 114, and I'll just close it off. Now, I'm going to go back, and I want to get that text file from the Patrick files. I'll just open it back up again because I closed it. The rest of these are the same. I'm just getting everything from the foods table. I'm getting everything from the suppliers table. I'm getting everything from the lunch items table. So the author's just having us do it ad nauseum. When you do it once or twice, you kind of get it. You with me? Now, again, you're saying, do I want all the information in the table? Or like I did just a minute ago, do I just need the dates? I might want the dates in something else. So I'm going to do another query right here. And I'm going to click on that copy of task 114, and I'm going to open it back up. Okay? And I'd run that query. Let's see if I did my other query. Okay. Now I've got that one, and I got everything there from it. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to copy. I'm going to close it off. And I'm going to copy it. And then I'm going to paste it. And there it is. And now I'm going to call this task 114A. And I'm going to do something a little bit different. So now I'll have to scroll down here and find task 114A. I should find it down here. There it is. Everybody see task 114? Now let's right click it and open it up. Now I'm going to go into the design view. Okay. And I want the lunch ID and the lunch date. Okay. And then I want the employee ID. I've got the lunch ID, the lunch date, put in employee ID, and then date entered. Now this will give me everything in the table. Okay. I just simply selected them from this design view. The design view in Access looks a whole lot like what you see in SAS Visual Analytics, that tool when you go to work, or SAP or Oracle. You'll see sets of tables that you're allowed to work with and extract data from, and then you'll see kind of a work area here where you can pull a table and then you can write code. Most of the time they'll just have a drop-down menu for you to choose from. Got it? You see where I'm at this point? Now, I've got the date entered there and the employee ID, and I'm going to go back up for a minute and I'm looking up employee ID. Okay, and I'm going to look for employee ID 201. So I'm going to see everything that was done by employee 201, and there's one entry. See what we did there? Now I'll go back down to the design view, and you'll see. Notice I've got the lunch ID, and then I refined the query by choosing those lunch dates that were the 16th of November. You with me? And then I further refine it by saying, okay, I want anything on that date by employee 201. See that? Now, we're going to go down to the SQL view for this and take a look. And you'll see it's even a little bit more complicated. But thankfully, with the design view, I don't necessarily I don't have to write the code if I can do it in design view. And there are going to be many times when it's just going to be simpler to run the design view than it is to write the code. Got me? And that's going to be typical of what you're going to run into when you're out at work. Now, I'm going to go back up to the data sheet view. You're going to see the author use the terms view. What does he mean? Well, here's one of the really astounding things about these databases. When folks were figuring out how to do addressing for web pages, somebody who was really smart over at Microsoft said, well, why don't we do that inside of a machine so we can pull up a view of a table? Okay? When we create a table, it's permanently stored in the machine. Today, they're stored on a server. You get enough of those, and you've got a lot of data. But when you and I run a query, okay, or if we're not a database administrator and we pull up a table, we're seeing a picture of that database, a page. So what gets saved when I save a query is the code, and then when I open that thing back up, everything else just pops back up by command, because underneath this is another layer called the jet engine, which produces this graphic user interface that you and I see. That's why we can run query after query. That's why you can go over to Google and you can put in something into Google and you'll get 200 million hits within 6 seconds or something like this. Incredible stuff. Your job is going to be, what do I query? What am I after? What do I want to know? What do I need to know? That's where you'll come in. And if the tables are designed correctly and the queries are done correctly, everything's fine. If the initial data are entered correctly, fine. So tonight, when you open your phone up, you go to your favorite app, and you choose whatever videos you want to watch. And Lordy, I'm praying for you because I can only imagine what you people watch. I was young once. I know. I understand. Now that you're away from Net Nanny, you've gone crazy, haven't you? Well, OBU is tracking everything. They track everything you see, you listen to, every phone call. Young people, God knows what's in your database. Tell you what, I'm about ready to take up an offering or have an invitation. Because some of you look like sinners and you need to come forward. Just a little bit. I have the record for rededications of my life. My friends and I, we had a preacher, he was like me, he was long-winded, he'd keep going and going. And it would be 12 and we'd go, we want to watch the Cowboys play football and we need to get some pizza for lunch. But you just shut up because nobody's coming forward this week. So we had a high sign. So one of us would go forward and, say, okay, I've been bad and I want to be better. It's called rededicating your life. You ever heard of that one? Okay. Now, I was always scared. What I'm going to do is I'm going to accidentally sign a card that says, and they're going to say, Keith has just said he's been called to be a missionary to China. And I was so scared of that. And my mother said, you rededicate your life every 2 months. What's wrong with you? Well, yeah. So I know all the tricks and all the trades. No. Not really. There's people, a lot of the stuff that happened here when I was here, people told me about it. I was not involved. That's the truth. You don't look like you believe me. Okay. The major reason for me leaving was an unfortunate pyrotechnic experiment that went wrong. I'll go no further. My parents and OBU both decided it's time for him to go. And Mom and Daddy said, you want to have fun at school? You can pay for it yourself. So I worked to pay the rest of my school. It took me 7 years to get my bachelor's. I learned a lesson. Okay. Now, so we've worked with the query. We've run some queries. We've looked at the design view. Now, pages 1 through 23 or 1 through 30 walk you through the parts of a table. And I want you to take a look at that because you do need to see that so that you get an understanding. And they give you some examples of the tables, etc. But just to finish it off, just to reinforce this point. Now, I'm gonna save this, Jewel. Okay. Okay. And I have my SQL fun, LD1. Okay. And guess what I'm going to do with this? I'm going to delete it. No. How many of you have ever watched Hee-Haw? You've never watched Hee-Haw? How can you claim to be Americans and not have watched Hee-Haw? You need to get on YouTube and watch Hee-Haw. That's one of the great television shows of all time. And watch Virginia Sample, car salesman who said, my number is BR459. One of the cool things about Hee-Haw was they'd take little towns and they'd say, Grove, Oklahoma, population 19. And people in Grove would yell, we're on Hee-Haw last night. And they had Buck Owens, who was one of the great country singers, and Roy Clark, who was one of the great country pickers. Anybody ever heard of Roy Clark? Oh my goodness gracious. You folks, how can you live in this part of the country and not get into some country music? Merciful heavens. Loretta Lynn, Tammy Wynette, any of y'all heard of them? Oh my goodness, Porter Wagner. Johnny Cash, not the old Johnny Cash crying and complaining about being old. The young Johnny Cash that was on amphetamines. That's when he was at his best. Well, best musically, not as a person. You know, Ring of Fire and stuff like that. He definitely was. His brain. There's so much country music out there for you to discover. I'll bet y'all listen to Bach and Beethoven, don't you? Or some of, I bet some of you gentlemen here are some of them. I bet some of you gentlemen are Taylor Swift fans, but you won't admit it. I bet you are secretly. I bet if I checked your phone, your computer, you got Taylor all over that thing, but you won't admit it. Taylor Swift, isn't that her name, Taylor Swift? Making the billions of dollars. And she said, Apple, you're going to pay me for my music or I'm going to sue you. Apple said, we'll pay you. Any fans of hers? Okay, one. Who do you listen to? Music. Give me some names of groups. I know a favorite's Kill Grandma and Grandpa. I know that one. Any others? You don't listen to any particular music groups? You don't have any favorites? Anybody? No? What? What's wrong with you people? Don't you listen to music? Yes. I listen to hymns of the faith every week.
I said you had a favorite group.
Who's your is it Clean?
It's kind of old. It can be clean.
Who was it?
My favorite music group is NWA.
Well, we'll stop with the acronym. And yeah, they had some stuff to say. They had some stuff to say. They're right there with the Beastie Boys. Have any of you ever heard of the Beastie Boys? Okay.
They got some good rap.
What do you have iPads or iPhones? You put music on your phones? You listen to music? What do you listen to?
J. Cole.
Who is that?
Is a rapper.
Okay. Any country artists that you listen to?
Alan Jackson. You gotta go.
Alan Jackson's good. Yeah, Alan Jackson for sure. He's definitely for sure.
Randy Travis.
Yeah, Randy, excellent. Randy Travis. He's a stud. Yes. Who?
First he said Georgia, Florida line. He didn't even say it, right?
Georgia, Florida line. A state line, isn't it? Georgia, Florida. What are they? See,
Georgia. It doesn't matter. There's awful.
you see, y'all. That's why you need a database. You can't even tell me your favorite groups. I do. I have. It's called Spotify. I call it Spotify. Anybody have Spotify? Well, because sometimes I mispronounce the words. Mispronounce. Spotify. How about Pandora? Anybody listen to Pandora? Some Pandora fans out there? Now here's the cool thing. How many of you have premium Spotify? Okay. How many of you have free Spotify? Okay. The freeview version, what happens? You hear music and then they do what? They say, here's 3 more we think you'd like. You know what they're doing? You're just building a table of your preferences for them. You're trading what you like for them to know what you like. Okay, so I'm going to upload this here file, this SLQ 2007 LD1, and where? I'm going to go back over here now, and when it says, and where it says LD2, upload here, that's where we want to put it, right here, right?
LD1.
LD1, okay.
That's why he's trying to trick you.
I'm just rolling. You don't need to freak out. It's okay. The 15 points won't make a difference. You'll get a D instead of a C. And then what'll happen is your whole life will fall apart. You'll get kicked out of school, and then you'll be over there on the highway, and you'll be beside it, and everybody else has graduated, and you'll be laying there, and it's raining, and there's a big puddle, and since they knew you from OB, you know what? They'll just drive and they won't hit the puddle. I'm kidding. I'm just teasing you. So you've got the SLD LD1. You've already got that finished. So upload it now, please. Everybody know how to upload a file in here?
Mine's not working.
It's not working. How's it not working?
Like it makes it just very
Okay. Okay. Let's just close everything. Close all. Yeah, close all. No. Close all. You say. Yes, you're okay there. Okay. Yeah. You're good. Yeah, you're right. Good. Now go back in and find the file on your desktop. Okay. And there it is. And you can upload it into Canvas. Okay, everybody uploaded your files for tonight. And then here's what I'll do. I'll post a second video, which is part 2, and I'll cover DB2 and 3, or maybe just DB2. Well, DB2 and 3 because they're going to be due next week. Or I may just do DB2 and then we'll do DB3 in class. Or maybe we'll do DB2 and 3 in class. And I'll just do a video about music places. Or maybe college football rankings. Databases are such a part of your life, and you don't even realize it. Your phone, a database. You click on an app, you run a query. You go to ESPN to see the scores, it uses a database. You go over to Spotify and you choose music, you're using a database. Pandora, you're using a database. YouTube, you go over there and you look for movies and stuff to watch, or you want to see, kittens, playing the piano or something. YouTube's a database. That's all it is. And you know what? Guess where they get their content? From you and me. Facebook is the same way. Facebook, you upload all this stuff. Any of y'all still use Facebook? Is there anyone here? Okay. I use Facebook too. Where do y'all go now? You have like a social media for yourselves? You have a blood pack you want to tell grandma and grandpa. I get it, okay? I get impatient with people, my friends my age, who post everything about their grandkids. I'm like, I really don't want to see that. I want to see some Russian disinformation thing you're posting or what crazy stuff you're into. I care less about the grandkids. Let's talk. Here's the database. And you and I are populating it as we upload our videos. Facebook, when I upload stuff, Facebook. Twitter is a database. Anybody have used Twitter? Anybody use Instagram? Warning. Everything stays on the internet. It never leaves. So I have a policy. I'll tell you that now. I'm going to let you go. If you want to friend me in Facebook, or you want to friend me in LinkedIn, or you want to friend me on Twitter or anything like that, first time I get an Instagram picture or a Facebook photo of you at your drunken party, you're coming out of my life. Because I got nice folks looking there going, I thought you taught up there at OBU. I'm like, yeah, Pastor Kelly. Well, what's that picture of? What are those kids doing? And look, what you do is between you and God, okay? And I'm going to be the last person to point a finger at you, okay? Because I know I've sinned at least twice in my life, I think. Otherwise, it's been pretty smooth sailing. You don't seem to believe me. I'm not actually Dr. Harmon. I'm his younger brother here filling in for him. How many of you believe that? How many of you wish my younger brother was here? He's a lot more fun than I am. He's a big gun nut. And he's a floor supervisor at the Supermax prison in Florence, Arizona. Go look it up. Woo, mercy. He deals with some bad people. So, what happened to me? He's a bivocational minister. My older brother's a minister, then there's me. What happened? Where'd that go wrong? I think it was when I got that coat with all them colors and then they threw me in the well. That was not a nice thing to do. Next thing I know, I'm running Egypt. Here comes my family wanting food. I'm going to get out. Y'all know that Bible story? Very good. Well, thank you so much for your patience. Upload this for LD1. And if in all, and next week we'll probably do 2 and 3, or I may do 2 in the second part for tonight, and then do 3 next week when we assemble, and then we'll look at maybe 4. That work?
Will you upload the files we need to upload?
They're there. Yes. If you take a look over here, you're going to see SQL Fund 2007 Harmon Lunches DB1. SQL Fund 2007 Harmon Lunches DB2. And SQL Fund Harmon Lunches DB3. They're all there. How many of you have seen Forrest Gump? Great movie, isn't it? There, Shay's taken. I know, that's right. Jenny Forrest. That's good. I like that part. My favorite part is when his drill sergeant says, Gump, what is your main purpose in life? And Gump's reply was what? To do whatever you tell me to do, drill sergeant. And what did the drill sergeant say? Gump, you're a genius. Right? And he was. He did what he was told. I don't think I've done any good tonight. I'm going to quit. Look if they find to replace me.
Oh, you're pretty funny.
Probably a monkey. They'll have a robot in here someday. You will turn to page 6, 7, and you look bored. I'm not bored anymore. That's probably all education will come to. You are paying $6 million. You must learn. Okay, that'll be your grandkids. Your grandkids will go, "Can you help me go to OBU, Mama, Grandpa?" Well, it's $3 million a semester. Oh, the way the prices are going, they're going to run me off one of these days, and the costs will go down significantly. And be a better quality of education. Anybody wonder how I got here?
You walked in.
No, that's part. No, it's close. My car broke down on 40, and they've never given me my car back. And I think it's because I work cheap. But this is my ministry. Isn't that sad? It's come to this. And why do you unfortunate people have to be part of my ministry? Anybody know I'm a faith healer? I'm not, really. I'm an itinerant evangelist of databases and technology. So I want you to bow your heads and close your eyes. I'm kidding you. When they do that, do they still do that and make y'all bow your heads and close your eyes when you're in church before decision time? They still make you do that? And I pop my head and look around and see, oh, who's sending? Oh, yeah, Mary Jo. Okay. Lordy. My mama did her best. Okay, well, it's that time where I ask you the perennial question, why are you people in my lab? Get out. God bless you, and I'll see you next week. Whoa, you okay there?
Yeah, why am I?
That's destroying the lab.
I'm like,
Maybe you've got a false compartment in that bottle and you got the water on top. Okay, I'm watching. Is that Chick-fil-A you've got in there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You got fries?
No, sir, it's all gone.
Okay, but you did order fries.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, good. Good to see that. They're trying to get y'all to eat healthy and then go over and exercise and all that. It's the most sickening thing I've ever seen. It's your God-given right to eat what you want when you want. All right, let's stop.